Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Recovery from Politics Podcast. I am your host, Kyle Frame, and today is Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. And, I'm very angry today. Half of me wants to, name this episode, Why is Kyle So Mad? Probably not. Probably just going to open up instead with, John Fetterman is not your friend. Quit thinking he is. This guy... you have to couch your impress. You know, if you're impressed by somebody, you have to be careful. You have to consider the source. Like, for example, I frequently have bucked horns with people who insisted that Nancy Pelosi was running circles around Donald Trump and that made her so awesome. And I'm like, Donald Trump is an idiot, a very predictable idiot, a narcissist of the highest order. It should be easy to run circles around him, right? Like, it would be more impressive if she couldn't, on the opposite end of the scale. So, you have to keep that in mind. John Fetterman, for those of you who don't know, you probably do if you're watching this, is a senator from Pennsylvania who is, I think, the lucky recipient of, he was running against Dr. fucking Oz, of all people, for that seat. Dr. Oz is not a resident of the state. He clearly went there because it was an open thing. There was no incumbent that he had to deal with. He's extremely Trumpy. He's a liar as well. He thought he could just ride the Trump bandwagon into office. And while it did get him the primary victory that he was seeking, he totally failed miserably everywhere else. Oz, which is amazing to me considering... He's in media, yet failed so badly at controlling the media for this. John Fetterman's only, superpower was the ability to troll the shit out of Oz on social media. He came up with memes very quickly, and just he was the king of zingers. So if that's what the fuck you want in your senator, then I guess he's doing great for you right now, because that's really the only thing he's good at. I have come to the conclusion that he is not my friend, and he's not too bright either. He also suffers from this same disease that a lot of Democrats do, in that they don't know the fight they're in, right? The first thing that really tipped me off was when center-right, former Republican, never Trumpers started saying, that Fetterman guy is really surprising me a lot lately. And he is. He's doing it on two specific things. One is the war going on in Israel between Hamas and Israel. Not the Palestinians, but whatever. And Fetterman came out very quickly, and he basically mirrored Joe Biden at the beginning with the Hug Bibi strategy. He has been walking around wearing an Israeli flag as a cape, which, okay, that right there should let you know the man should not be taken seriously. If you're wearing a cape if you're wearing a flag as a piece of clothing, I'm sorry, you shouldn't be in office. I think it's stupid. But he's got that. He's also, waving the Israeli flag, which, okay, fine, you're an American citizen representing America, but, you do you, whatever. And I was going to give him a pass on this because I understand the dynamics of, demographics. I don't know Pennsylvania. Obviously, he knows Pennsylvania more than I do. So it's possible that there is a very strong pro-Israel sentiment there, and he is representing that. Or he has a history or whatever. And really, when you look into his statements, they don't sound all that bad when it comes to this up front. He is extremely anti-Hamas, same. Anti-terrorism, agreed. And he thinks, and I think most rational people would agree, that if you want a two-state solution, Hamas needs to fucking go, right? They just need to go, period. Hamas is a terrorist organization. They have targeted women and children, innocent civilians, and they have stated publicly that, their goal isn't independence. They're not a revolutionary group. Their goal is the complete and utter destruction of Israel and all Jews on the planet. So you can't negotiate with them. You can't treat them like they're a rational actor. Hamas is evil. They need to be eliminated. I'm totally on board with that. My problem with him is that at no point does he want to tie any kind of conditions to Israel for this. So he believes Israel should have a complete blank check to go destroy Hamas, period. Not once does he talk about innocent civilians on Gazan's side. If he ever talks about innocent civilians or casualties of war, it's always the Israeli side. He has never, ever expressed any sympathy or concern towards the Palestinian people, the Palestinian children who are dying as well right now, because they are victims of Hamas as much as the Israelis are. That has to be made very clear. Hamas got elected because of Netanyahu's meddling, 20 years ago, practically. The majority of citizens in Gaza aren't even old enough to have taken that vote. They took control. They didn't even have a majority. I think it was like a 40-30-30 split. So, yeah, they had the most votes, but it wasn't like a 51 or anything. So even the majority of Gazans did not vote for Hamas. But because of the shenanigans of an election, they took control. They haven't had a vote since. They terrorized their own citizens. They use them as human shields, okay? The Palestinians are not happy with this. They're stuck with them right now. And so that's why the collective punishment that Israel is doing right now against them is bullshit. Okay, you've got a radical group of people that decided this, and everyone's being punished for it. It would be the same as if, hypothetically, in 2024, Trump gets elected. He still doesn't win the popular vote, but because of our election shenanigans, he gets more electoral votes, goes into office, or even worse, it's left up to the House, and the House Republicans give it to him. Basically, a minority of Americans chose this asshole, and then all of a sudden, other countries decided to punish us for it and say, well, you're an American, he's your American president, so I'm going to punish all of you for this. It wouldn't be fair, it wouldn't be right, it wouldn't be humane. So my only problem with him has been that he doesn't seem to give two flying fucks about Gazans or any civilians that are not Israeli civilians. He's never put out a statement saying otherwise. I'm willing to be wrong on this, but he hasn't. In one case in particular, Newsweek is reporting that there was a pro-Palestinian protester who confronted him on camera and started asking him questions about the innocent civilians and why he doesn't support a ceasefire or anything. And Fetterman just doesn't answer this guy, and he just walks away. Apparently the video went viral. I didn't bother. Again, he's one senator, so I wasn't going to judge him too much. And I'm not exactly in favor of people ambushing public servants in general with cameras and whatnot. I mean, it makes for great theater. It's good for people like me who, will take it and edit it and, throw it up on social media. It's great there. But otherwise, it's like, I don't know. I don't want to put too much into it because, like anyone, nobody likes being ambushed and a microphone and a camera shoved in your face. And yes, I know he kind of asked for it. He is running, but still, he's a human being. Come on. But it is telling that he doesn't even bother to answer this person. I think the appropriate response, if you are getting that, is like, look, I'm not ready for this kind of thing. If you want to sit down, we can arrange it. We can have a date, a time, a place. I will answer your questions, or, direct your questioning to this person or this place or whatever. My office is here. And then move on. But he doesn't speak at all. He just walks away, which doesn't speak well of him. But the reason I'm mad at him today in particular and everything is the reason I think he's an actual idiot is currently he is selling this Republican talking point that actually reasonable border talks is a good thing. It's not racist to be this way. He says specifically, quote, I hope Democrats can understand that it isn't xenophobic to be concerned about the border. It's a reasonable conversation and Democrats should engage, end quote. Fantastic, man. The problem is, and the problem I still have with the Democratic Party, is they keep telling us that this GOP, this Republican Party, is the stupidest we've ever seen. And all evidence points that, yes, absolutely, they are idiots, every single one of them. But we still keep engaging with them. Okay, this is the bad faith thing. This is why I was mad at the Tlaib censure, okay? I don't mind if the Democrats want to police their own. That's their own business. I could disagree with it, but I would be like, yeah, okay, this person stepped out of line. They are a member of that party. They get support from that party. I mean, if you are a Democratic member of Congress and you caucus with the Democrats, chances are the DNC does send some resources your way, so it's like any business. You should expect some pushback if you step out of line. However, that's not what happened. Instead, the Republicans were the ones to announce, oh no, we're going to censure her for her anti-Semitism. Never mind the fact that a majority of Republicans, especially in the House where this happened, suggest that George Soros is engaging in white replacement. He's purposefully trying to get the globalists, to come around and open up the borders and let all the brown people in so that the white people can be bred out of existence. That is the bullshit that they sell. Not to mention the fact they have Marjorie Taylor Greene, who literally thinks forest fires in California are started by secret Jewish space lasers. And yet, the Democrats went along with this. They didn't fight it tooth and nail. I think about 20 of them did, most of them Jewish themselves, and they all just jumped on board. Not one of them made the argument, hey, you know what? We'll police our own. We'll take care of our own, but we're not going to take this bullshit from you. You don't get to do this, right? Where's your sense of decency on that level? These people are not arguing in good faith. What the fuck are you doing? And Fetterman just fell into it, okay? He is in the Senate, where I'm sure his best friends, Mitt Romney and Mitch McConnell, are telling him this is all very reasonable. These are the things that are totally okay. It's not xenophobic at all, man. We just want a secure border, man, and it's totally cool. Except the problem's not in the Senate. The Senate currently is following the leads of the House. The House has been offered up as a sacrificial lamb to the world right now, okay? The House Republicans do not want to support Ukraine. That's its own thing, set aside for a minute. So they say, we're going to tie Ukrainian funding to the southern border. But not just anything, right? They want some seriously draconian shit going on. Okay, except here's the thing. The White House and the Democrats said, all right, man, we'll treat this like a normal, everyday negotiation. That is a mistake, but whatever. And they say, you go ahead, give us a list of your demands, and we'll talk about it. And the House rejected that. The House Republicans said, no, we just want more border security, and they left it blank. That should have been a signal right there, for some reason, if they didn't gather it, that the Republican Party is not operating in good faith. They don't want to fucking negotiate. They sure as shit don't want to negotiate on the border. Hypothetically, if Biden and the Republicans agreed on a border thing, and then the border got better, they would lose their number one talking point. Okay, we are talking about the political party that when it came to Roe v. Wade, they caught the car. The dog caught the car. And they are getting massive pushback in very red states like Kentucky, where it's very clear their voters did not want this shit. But they've been saying it for so long, they finally caught it, and now it's blowing back on them. They are not that stupid that they don't see it. They're like, whoa, wait, guys. We've got to deal with this abortion bullshit, and now we're about to negotiate over the border. If we actually catch it, if we get it, and the border gets better, then the border is as much our problem as it is Biden's. We'll connect ourselves right there. It'll be negotiated, a border deal between a Republican House, a Democratic Senate, and a Democratic president means everyone will share responsibility, good or bad. Now, the Republicans are never about to do this. They're just not. There's too much upside for Biden to make a deal, right? Again, if he makes a deal and it works, that talking point is off the table. What the fuck are they going to run on next time? Inflation, which keeps coming down, right? Like they've got to plan this out. So there's no way in hell they're going to pass a border deal at all. like all. So that's just not going to happen. But my problem is Fetterman just gave the Republicans a talking point. Oh, why can't all Democrats be like Fetterman? You see, Fetterman wants to meet us in the middle. Fetterman's talking reasonably. It's okay. He's walking right into it. This guy's not smart. He doesn't understand the game that he is playing. The Republicans are not operating in good faith, especially in the House. Again, he might be talking to Mitt Romney. And if it was Mitt Romney and John Fetterman sitting down, and those were the two liaisons that both parties were negotiating through, and they were going to come up with a deal between them, sure, I probably won't agree with most of what comes out of it, but at least I would believe that both Fetterman and Mitt Romney are at least operating in some kind of good faith agreement. The problem is there are several hundred assholes in the House who Fetterman's not talking to, and these people are in the Burn It Down caucus. Try to remember, they just replaced a Speaker of the House for having the audacity of keeping the government open. Okay? These are the people we have to deal with right now. Fetterman just gave them additional talking points, okay? He's giving interviews to right-wing media outlets so that he can be, the sensible Democrat? We just found out we're getting rid of Joe Manchin. We don't need a replacement for that asshole, okay? The way this is going right now, the way the type of politician that Fetterman is currently selling himself to be is, one, stupid, and two, going to fall for it all. He's going to be a centrist. He's going to be Joe Manchin's replacement. Okay? We all thought this. Joe Manchin was nothing more than a scapegoat. Somebody the Democrats could hide behind and be like, well, we would pass all those wonderful things the voters want, but, Joe Manchin, we just can't without him. And it seems like Fetterman is stepping up to now be the new Joe Manchin of the Democratic Party. He's going to be that guy who's like, whoa, we can't give the people what they actually want. We've got to, hold back a little, my Republican friends on the other side of the aisle. Rawr. And that's why I don't like him anymore. To be fair, I never really did like him. It's like, okay, I understand you have to deal with what you've got, and what we had at that point was Fetterman versus Oz. And Oz is nothing more than a shameless asshole who just wanted to be in the Senate with his buddy Trump. Okay, whatever, man. I didn't think he was all that bright either. Sure, he's a snake oil salesman, tried to be a senator. All right, fine, I'll support Fetterman. Fetterman gets in, and it's like, okay, Democrats, I would like you guys to now primary this guy in 6 years, because you will have 6 years of this. This is still very early in this man's tenure. This guy's going to come up, and I want Democrats to fucking remember, this is the guy who is not differentiating between civilians on one side versus civilians on the other when it comes to a goddamn religious war going on in Israel right now. And this is also the guy who wants to try to both sides the border issue as if it's being argued in good faith. He is falling for Republican bait. He is an idiot and needs to be removed sooner rather than later. Hopefully his health will kick in at some point. But this guy just is not it, Democrats. He needs to be dumped as soon as possible. And the Democratic Party needs to just, attack him relentlessly. I don't care if he changes his status to independent or Republican. I don't want another Joe Manchin. And he is currently lining himself up to take that spot. I don't know if there's a shit ton of corporate money coming in to, edge him to that degree. I didn't follow his race that much. I just knew he was really good at attacking Oz. I don't know his personal politics. I don't know if he's always been like this. Because, again, according to the Never Trumpers Center people, they're all shocked by this sudden turn by Fetterman. So that leads me to believe that when he was running as fairly progressive as a Democrat. And he's not living up to that right now because he's shocking a lot of Republicans. So that's a problem. The next issue we've got, though, is, CBS News is currently reporting that the White House is kind of going all in on the border thing. So, per CBS News report, The Biden administration on Tuesday indicated to congressional lawmakers that it would be willing to support a new border authority to expel migrants without asylum screenings, as well as a dramatic expansion of immigration detention and deportations to convince Republicans to back aid to Ukraine. I'm not happy with this. Again, my initial thing is still the same old problem I'm having with the Democrats is they still believe the Republicans are arguing in good faith. They really do believe that they can negotiate with the Republicans and get something done. This is the downside to having a president who served for so long in the Senate and knows all these people. He has a personal relation with Mitch McConnell. And Mitch McConnell's probably calling him up being like, well, sir, I have voters and the people in the House are crazy, but if you work with me, this should be great. You know, we can find a bipartisan compromise. And I'm like, there's no such fucking thing with this Republican Party as a bipartisan compromise. There's not. It's not going to fucking happen. But that seems to be exactly what's going on. And so if you want to truly fix the border, a wall, more agents, more guns, and going to draconian asylum measures and more detention and deportations is not going to solve it. The problem is that a lot of these countries down in South America and Central America that we fucked with now have unreliable regimes in charge. People are coming here for a reason. They're running from something. They are running from something. If you really want to fix the border, you want to go deal with the root problem. This is kind of the same thing I have with Republicans who are like, I'm pro-life and I want to reduce abortions. It's like, great, so do I. Let's try making it so that women don't feel ostracized by being pregnant out of wedlock. Let's provide more health care and nutritional assistance so that way the woman's not by herself. I mean, the number one reason for an abortion is usually economics. So let's try to improve their situation. And I'll guarantee you a lot of women will choose not to have an abortion if it doesn't feel like a black hole, right? But unfortunately, Republicans were never interested in that. And that's kind of where we are right now. They don't want to deal with the root cause. They just want to put up a fucking wall and hope for the best. But here's the thing. If the Biden administration goes through with this, there is an argument that I saw somewhere. I forget. I don't know where, or I don't recall where, but it was yesterday. It was in either New York Times, Washington Post, one of their op-eds. Or maybe it was just a comment somewhere. But basically, the argument was, Dems, say you're going to build the fucking wall, and then, like, don't after you become elected in 2024. Like, just don't, right? And the argument is, okay, either you know, you get elected in 2024 and you cancel the wall, or you lose in 2024 and the Republicans build the wall fucking anyway. Now, I think that's ridiculous, okay? That would be like the German, I know, it's a Nazi analogy, and I know we hate that. But seriously, that would be like the German government before Hitler going, you know, I know he wants camps, but you know what? Let's just build the camps. And then when we win the next election, we'll just tear them down. And if we lose, well, he's going to build them anyway. It's like, why the fuck would you help them? And that's exactly what they're talking about. They're talking about more detention facilities, more deportation facilities. You know, you can't just deport someone. You can't just throw them into Mexico. Okay, that is also inhumane. Plus, Mexico would never fucking agree to that. Let's not forget there are partners in this situation. That's also not going to work. So you have to have a detention facility to put these people into, and then you have to have a way to get them back to their home country. Some of them don't want to accept them back. Right? So that is also a problem. And the Biden administration isn't going to deport somebody who legitimately might be murdered the second they step off the plane. So these detention facilities are just going to become holding facilities and concentration camps here in America. And yes, Trump might not get in. It might be someone else. But in the meantime, Biden is going to be stuck with potentially millions or hundreds of thousands of immigrants in a detention facility along the border that taxpayers are paying for. Now, we don't even take care of our prisoners, of our own citizens well. How well do you think they're going to be taken care of? And again, what good is it going to be if Biden rounds them all up, puts them in the camps, loses his next election, Trump's in there, and he's like, oh, great, they're all there now. Like, why would you help in any way to do this? But according to this report that I'm seeing here, the White House has indicated this is what they will accept. They will accept just expelling migrants without checking their asylum claims, increasing the amount of detention and deportations, all to convince Republicans to back aid to Ukraine. This is not how you deal with this. The Republican Party is not a good faith actor. First off, these measures are draconian, and Joe Biden should be fucking against them on their face. But he's not. Joe Biden is also not your friend. He's only the pro-democracy guy. So yeah, I guess I'll fucking vote for him in 24, but it won't be because I'm happy with it. Okay, so he shouldn't be accepting these deals. He shouldn't be accepting these terms. But furthermore, he shouldn't even be negotiating with these assholes. There is a perfectly viable way to get what you want and also slap your balls down on the global scale and let everyone see how huge they are. And it's very simple. Joe Biden orders a battle group to load itself up with as many fucking Marines as they can fit and go to Ukraine. And he goes on national television and he tells Congress, you fund this shit, or I'm going to order those Marines to step off the battle group onto Ukraine soil and fight Russians. Because I don't need additional funding for that. We already pay $1 trillion a year to the Pentagon. I am the commander-in-chief. That's what's going to happen. And then, what ends up happening, and you might argue, but Kyle, he's but one guy. Don't you constantly tell us checks and balances? Yes, but Congress would actually have to vote to override him. The speaker can't just be like, no, you can't. And they can't just go to court and say, oh, Supreme Court, tell us he doesn't have this power. Because first off, the Supreme Court would never rule that the commander-in-chief is not that. Okay, they want that power for themselves. Right? They want a Republican to be able to do this shit anytime they want. So it's not going to happen. It's not going to be delayed. There's no way for Congress to delay it. However, yes, we do have checks and balances. And if Congress is really serious, whoa, that's crossing a line, Mr. Biden. What they can do is they can actually have a vote. But they would need a 2/3 majority. 2/3 majority to override his veto and force the military back. And if they can't get it, guess what? They're pretty fucking divided. I don't think they will. Then they're going to have to just go ahead because either they need a 2/3 vote to override Biden's order or they need a simple majority to fund the fucking thing. And I guarantee you which one they're going to go for. They might kick and scream and be angry, but they'll get what they want. The Democrats will have a victory and us voters will sit there and be like, yes, the worm has finally turned. These assholes get it. They're finally fighting back. And again, even if it's a losing effort, a fight has been made. This has been my huge argument, my chief complaint with the Democratic Party for decades. Ever since Nancy Pelosi told George W. Bush that he was not going to face impeachment. The fuck are you doing? Okay? You need to fight. You need to do this. That is why Trump is so popular with his people. It is a perception. It is an incorrect perception. It is not reality. But the idea is that Donald Trump, he fights for us. And the Democrats don't. It's wrong. It's fucked up. But that's the perception. And the Republicans have built it in such a way that that perception will never be defeated. Right? Democrats aren't going to be able to poke that bubble. Those people are in that bubble. They believe what they believe, and they just have to be left with it. The only thing you can do is provide your own base with the same argument. No, fuck you. We fight for our people. But they don't do that. Which is why I think this is what they should be doing. Yeah. So, remember back to a couple of years ago when Roe v. Wade was first overturned. Okay. We had a 6-week heads up, right? The memo was leaked. We saw very clearly that they were planning on completely and totally overturning Roe v. Wade. It is something the left has been screaming about for years that this was the real intention. It's why we always hate and still hate Susan Collins for having the audacity to sit there and be like, oh, but Brett Kavanaugh said under oath it was settled law and he would never do this. And we were like, you dumb idiot. Of course that's what it was. And again, I think she knows better. I think it's an act she puts on, like, oh, I can't believe they lied to me. Like, I think that's an act. I think she knew damn well they were always going to do it, and this is just that's the road she's on, because she's a woman in Maine, and she can't just come out in favor of abortion, oh no, it's settled law. She just needed a reason to vote for him. That's all it was. It was an act. I know she knew better. Yes. But anyway... About 6 weeks before it actually happened, we got the leaked draft. It said exactly what they were going to do, and everybody was really worried. And the best argument you could hear was like, look, whoa, wait, it's a draft. It's a draft. It's not legit. Yes, of course, this is exactly what Alito would say because he's a nutball. But this is not indicative of what the rest of the court thinks. So we should all slow our roll, wait for the actual thing to come up. Okay, fine. That's something you tell the public, but behind the scenes, if you're a member of the DNC, say you're even the Speaker of the House at the time, what do you order your people to do when you get a leaked draft like that? That's going to fundamentally change all politics across the entire country, and you got a 6 weeks heads up. What would you do? What did you plan on doing? Which is why it was so disappointing that when the official order came through, we did discover, no, it was as bad as we all thought it was. Roe was officially dead. Dobbs now rules the day. The states are all going to decide, and we're currently living through that shithole. It was very disappointing that given a 6 week heads up, and let's be honest, we all knew this was what was going to happen. Like, as soon as Amy Coney Barrett got on there, it was like, okay, guys, it's 6-3. They're gonna do this, right? Like they've got the one to overturn Roberts. Like that was the argument, was that Roberts, kind of like with the Obamacare vote, he was the swing vote who said no, we can't do that. And a lot of people suspect that he doesn't really agree with that decision, but he didn't want to be the legislator from the bench that they always accuse the left of being. So he went along to maintain the status quo, so that way he couldn't be worried about it. In case you don't notice, if you've listened to my show long enough, I really hate people in positions of power who are more worried about their own reputation than doing what is right or what they believe in. I would have more respect for Roberts if he was just an out-and-out partisan and said, no, I fucking hate this Obamacare law and fuck it, right? But instead he decided, I want to maintain the status quo and not be judged. Whatever. So we all knew as soon as Amy Coney Barrett got on that this was going to happen. We know this has been their end goal for a while. If anything, if you told me, hey Kyle, off the record, the DNC has a whole box filled with documents, and it is the plan, the step-by-step plan of what we're going to do if they ever actually overturn Roe. And it is this massive national organization thing. If you'd have told me there's a box somewhere in the DNC that says, open in case of emergency, Roe just got overturned, and it has the whole plan that think tanks and Ivy League scholars and philosophers and sociologists have all poured into all their knowledge for how the Democratic Party should go forward and attack, I would have believed you. I would have, because that's what I would have done. It seems like the kind of thing that a political party with all the money and power that they have and influence, that they would have had this memo, this whole novella of things to do written far in advance. It could have been finished in the 90s, right? Or the second George W. Bush, the Supreme Court gave him presidency, been like, hey guys, he's going to put some justices on that court, and we all know how this is going to go, right? So all the way back in 2001, if you'd have told me that's when they wrote it, and it's just been sitting there gathering dust for the, break glass in case of emergency moment, I would have believed you. So it was insane to me that with a 6 week heads up, a leaked draft, Amy Coney Barrett, Mitch McConnell stole seats specifically to do this. that within 1 hour of the official verdict coming down, the only thing anybody got was this email here. That's it. Democratic leadership just sent out a fucking fundraising email. Right? That's it. And that's all they've done. They have not fixed anything since. If you mention court packing, they dismiss you. No. We don't want to do that. The right way to do this is through the vote, right? When they had an offer on the table from Republican senators saying, hey, we don't agree with this, like Murkowski, even Susan Collins, those two names specifically, they were like, we will vote with Democrats to codify Roe into law. Just Roe, right? Not the Democratic wish list or anything. Just if you want to codify it into law, we will fight to make sure there's no filibuster, or if there is a filibuster, that we have the 60 votes necessary to overdo it. We can do that. That was the deal on the table. Even Mitt Romney said he might support that. And yeah, it wouldn't solve everything, and we'd still have a lot of our bullshit, right? But it would be a step in the right direction. The Democrats completely controlled the House. This is the kind of easy layup you would expect a master strategist such as Nancy Pelosi to pull off in her sleep. Yet, the only bill she ever put forward regarding abortion to deal with this was a Democratic wish list of like the most backwards leftish fucking, abortion stuff on the planet. She didn't just want to codify Roe into law, which was the deal on the table. She wanted to go ahead and put everything out there because she didn't want it to pass. She does not want it to pass. The reason you put forward a bill that way, so that you can guarantee the Republicans aren't going along with it, is so that all your Democratic friends can go ahead and vote in favor of it, knowing it'll never become law. And that way they get to go back and they get to send out their own fundraising emails. And they get to say, hey guys, I voted for it, but what are you going to do? And that's the only thing she ever did. Even after that failed, like I could get, okay, you had to do your signal flare to let everyone know that you're a real leftist. Okay. But now we're going to codify Roe into law, right? Like, okay, we did our thing. We flexed how left we are. Now we're going to go ahead and do it, because the Republicans didn't rescind their deal. It's not like they saw what the House did and was like, oh, well, if you're going to be that way, then I'm not going to vote for the codification of Roe into law. No, they didn't. They just said, hey, if you present it, we'll vote for it. Period. There were no conditions. Did she then follow it up and be like, okay, everybody, we signaled, now let's go ahead and do this for real? No, she never brought it up, and she's the Speaker of the House. One of the most powerful people in the entire United States government, and she didn't even bring it up for a vote. Because it's all about fundraising. So today's news is that the Supreme Court is going to take up mifepristone, the medication that is most commonly used for abortions and prescribed for abortions. Most abortions are not in a hospital bed with your legs all up in the stirrups and a doctor going in, right? Most of them are done through this pill. It's like the Plan B pill, but obviously way stronger, I guess. So that's what's happening. It's going to the Supreme Court. They're going to take it up. Now, first off, there should be no illusions here. The Supreme Court's going to destroy this thing, right? This thing's going to be outlawed fucking everywhere. Period. Like, don't even think or for a second that maybe it'll squeak through, okay? The majority of the Supreme Court's a bunch of Catholic assholes. They are not going to pass this, okay? This is going to get squashed. So, mifepristone, if you've got it, take it. It's gone soon. It is. I guarantee you the Supreme Court's going to strike it down. It's not even a question. This Supreme Court has a 6-3 majority. They don't know for how much longer. They're going to milk it for as much as they can. Okay? So they're going to go ahead and they're going to do this. Don't worry, though. They'll probably tell Trump that, no, he's not immune from prosecution. Duh. And that'll give everybody the warm fuzzies when that comes back, either 7-2 or 8-1, and everyone will be like, oh, that Clarence Thomas, he's such a pill, he won't recuse himself or anything. And everyone will feel good about it, and you'll see all these articles about, see, libs, this Supreme Court's not that bad. See, they can be reasonable. And then within a week of those articles all going out and everybody putting themselves into a false sense of security, they're going to outlaw this drug. And the thing that bothers me is that I'm just going to get another email from Nancy Pelosi or Hakeem Jeffries, or, Chuck Schumer will make a statement on shitter, how horrible it is, and then nothing will happen. And if you bring up, oh, now will you pack the court? Joe Biden will still sit there and go, no, we don't do that here. That's what the other side would do. And we'll all pull our hair out, if you have hair. And he's like, for the love of God, yes, that is what the other side would do. That's why you need to do it. And I get it, norms, traditions, whatever, but you have to understand, first off, you have to get that they have lied and cheated their way into power multiple times. Like, the Democrats are the only side playing by the rules. And that's fine if they're winning, but they're not. Like, the cheating has worked. No one has faced any consequences for all this cheating. So it kind of drives me crazy that one side insists, as we go down this downward, rightward spiral into fascism, and the Democrats are sitting there like, we just need more money and votes, everybody. We've got to beat them at the ballot box. Knowing damn well they are gerrymandering the fuck everywhere they can, that they are pushing voter suppression, that they are making sure that voter ID laws go into effect to make damn sure that the people who would vote Democrat cannot vote Democrat. And the Democrats are sitting there like, we would do everything you said if we just had a majority. And that's the problem that really gets me, are all these Democratic stands on the social media who are like, you guys just want more Trump, quit saying bad things about Biden and the Democrats and everything else. And I'm like, I'm sorry, they have had significant majorities in the recent past and did nothing with them. Nothing. If the immigration thing were a serious threat, if Democrats really gave a fuck about it, Chuck Schumer would have ended the filibuster and they would have gone ahead and reformed the border. They didn't. If abortion were a big issue, they could have just gotten rid of the filibuster, passed it simple majority, but they won't. They keep it there. They keep it there. And it's not because, oh, well, they're afraid what the Republicans will do if you get rid of the filibuster. No, that's bullshit talking point they're selling you. What they're really saying is, we use the filibuster to hide behind because we don't really want things to change either. We just run as Democrats. We don't actually believe this shit. That's what they're telling me. Because again, they have had a 60-seat majority in my lifetime and did nothing with it. They didn't change anything. Again, this is my complaint with Biden as a president, when every time they look at the polls and they're like, how is Trump doing this? You have insane amounts of power. You are not affecting any change. Obama had the largest House and Senate majority in my lifetime. Reagan would have sacrificed his balls to have that kind of a majority. And Obama did nothing to affect any change. He wrote a love letter to the insurance companies. And we're all supposed to sit here and be like, oh, thank you for putting 20 million more people on health care that fucking sucks. And, oh, by the way, abortion's gone and I can't get the cancer treatment I need because my insurance company says it's fucking, experimental. We're all being asked to accept the crumbs. No one is turning to these Democratic assholes and be like, hey, if we give you the majority, we expect you to fucking use it in our favor. Change things. Do something. But they don't. They half-ass it at best. Put up a proxy vote and be like, oh, well, it failed because of Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema and doggone it, if you just give us $15 more, that'll change things. I'm like, I'm sorry, you had 60 votes at one point and you did nothing with it. Nothing. We all saw where this was headed forever ago. We have always known every single Republican who has put a Supreme Court justice on the bench since Reagan have the sole goal of removing Roe v. Wade, of getting rid of all these voter ID restrictions. Okay? That's what they're here for. For fuck's sake, last session they had a bill that basically fast-tracked people on death row to kill more people. Do you really think they're going to do anything about this right now? The Republican Party is the party of fascism and authoritarianism. The justices really don't care. Everyone just assumes that the justices would never grant so much power to Trump because they are jealous of their power as well. I don't think they are. I don't think they care. Yet they're the only bulwark against us from this fascist regime that's coming in hot. And everyone wants to blame the right-wing media for selling lies or everything else. And I'm sitting here like, guys, yes, we know Fox News is evil. Yes, we know Texas is gerrymandered to fuck. What are you going to do about it? Because most Democrats just throw up their hands. You don't understand, Kyle. Texas is the most gerrymandered state in the country. That's why Democrats will never win here. You can't gerrymander a city. Uvalde. Every single person involved in the massacre of Uvalde, who failed miserably, was reelected just weeks later. You can't tell me they gerrymandered that city. Democrats have given up in that state, so I've given up on that state. Texas can just fall the fuck off. I don't care. If you don't care enough to fucking march, where's the Million Man March in Dallas? You tell me that Houston and Dallas are these blue bastions where Democrats can actually get stuff done, yet repeatedly the Republican governor keeps passing laws to subvert your vote and make those Democratic mayors and city councils useless. I don't see you marching outside of their office. I don't see a huge, massive Texan protest. Where the fuck are you all? I'm led to believe there are millions of Democrats there, yet I've never seen a protest in Texas with all those Democrats about what's going on. Not once. Not in the mass that would scare the Republicans. You have to fight fire with fire. You can't keep hoping for the other side to suddenly wake up and realize what's going on. This was Liz Cheney's mistake, thinking, oh, if we cut off the head, the Republican Party will return to the good old days when my daddy was just a war criminal and it was okay. No, that's not what's happening. Things have changed. The Republican Party is rotten down to the voter base of it. We have to wait these fuckers out. They're going to just have to die off. That is the answer. We can't convince them otherwise. No law is going to, de-radicalize them. Time will. Decades of time. Repeatedly, over and over again. But if the Democrats aren't going to affect change, if they're not going to do anything, if all they're going to do is send out one more fundraising letter after another, they're going to keep doing that until you stop giving them money. I mean, let's not, beat around the bush here. Joe Biden was very much, I love President Netanyahu. Isn't he so awesome? He's the greatest. He's great. What? You mean the youth is saying they're not going to vote for me in 2024? Hey, we need to be very concerned about civilians in Gaza now. He changed his tune, but the DNC will not change. Right now, every member in leadership in Congress has one thing in common. They're all very good at fundraising. As long as that is the case, their incentive structure, their power structure is built on this. If you're a great fundraiser and you get put into a position of leadership because you're really good at fundraising, it behooves you to still always be good at fundraising. Because as soon as you're no longer good at fundraising, they'll remove you for someone who is. It was always in Nancy Pelosi's and Hakeem Jeffries' best interests not to do what the people want. They have to just hang that carrot out in front of you. Oh, we just $5 more, just one more vote, just one more Senate seat. They'll never actually give you what you want with this current structure. So right now, I guarantee you, if there is a master plan in the DNC, like I was saying, if there's a break glass in case of emergency box, it is not a drastic, huge plan of action to go after when the Supreme Court kills Mifprestone. It's one document, and it's going to be an email asking you for $5 more.